What is up, Wizards fans? Welcome into another Believe in Wizards podcast. I'm Modderno. He's Jahadi White. Jahadi, the young guys, they're fun, man. I'm enjoying Wizards basketball again. I don't even know what to do with myself. I don't know. Just what's your initial take been on the first 4 games of the Wizards season?
Well, it's a process, but as far as it's going, as it keeps going, it's more refreshing and becoming more refreshing to watch.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a great word for it.
You've seen the young guys struggle at the beginning a little bit, but come into themselves very fast. Feel that, understand the NBA games, and okay, I was doing too much here. Let me take a little bit out there. Oh, this is available. This is now an option. Okay. And by that first Atlanta game, you start to see him slowly figuring it out. And then they started to say, and it's great because you're seeing guys figure it out together. Right? Cool. So now we're saying, we can figure it out together and we're gelling.
Yeah, I mean, that's the really exciting part, I think, about having the basically three freshmen and a sophomore here, essentially. Them just kind of all learning on the fly together is super cool. And to your point, you can see guys sort of adjusting in real time. And the Wizards have just so many years had the one rookie out there, and then they kind of confined to this stand in the corner role. But now 4 dudes actively involved, and they've all had their different moments. I think that's what Wizards fans want to see. And I don't know, in a group chat I'm in, one of the guys was like, I don't understand why you're all so excited. They're only 2-2. And, they beat a bad Atlanta team. It's dude, it's not about the results. It's the process for them, and not to do the whole trust the process thing. But seeing the young guys grow together in a fully, what we fully understand is a rebuilding year. I think you nailed it with the word refreshing, because that's exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah, because you now have not only have something to be behind, you're not, nothing against the guys who've been there, but you're not behind the same engine over and over again, right?
Right. Yep.
Now you're saying, okay, well, I have some guys to grow with. I see some guys with potential, right? Oh, you're using a different eye.
Yep.
And you're watching the game with a different eye than you would with 4 vets out there.
Sure.
Right? You're watching it with, okay, I'm looking at it from a potential aspect. I'm looking at it from every game progression aspect. I'm looking at it from an IQ progression aspect. I'm looking at it from a field aspect. I'm looking at it from a continuity aspect, a growth aspect. The facilitator, how they cheer each other on, the energy they give each other. It's so many new elements and small things now you can watch the game for.
Yep.
So just all type of different nuances. Then you can watch it in past, what you watch it for in the past. When you watch, you even look at Bilal, you can see him getting an entirely new feel from his players.
Yep.
I see that young group. It's a lot of frequencies and good energy bypassing to each other, and a lot of communication with words and communication non with words, just understanding. What it reveals is how different the game changed so fast.
Yep.
Because now you're seeing the way they play and the way the vets play. It's a different game.
They're not fully meshing with certain of the older guys.
They're not.
Yeah. And I took a little heat on that doing just the little post-game show the other day, because Valanciunas had 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. And my thought was look, he's not playing at the same pace as the 4 young guys out on the court with him. And he had a very good individual offensive game. But, on paper versus the reality of how the team performed while he was on the court, they were better while he was off of it, and just Sarr was the lone big. Defensively, they've been drastically worse when Sarr isn't the big on the court. And that's just something that they're going to have to, figure out here over time. Just real quick before we get, I'll let you respond to that. I just want to knock our ad reads out real quick, because I've got to get them in the first couple minutes here. We're brought to you by Stateside Vodka and their Surfside Hard Iced Teas and Hard Lemonades. Also brought to you by BetOnline. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props, head to BetOnline to get in on the action with America's most trusted online wagering site. BetOnline, the game starts here. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Johnny. Go for it.
Oh no, it's all good. So yeah, I do agree, but I mean, in the end of the day, Valanciunas will never be able to keep up with that young core group.
Exactly.
But I do see him offer something for the offense.
He's great on offense for them.
That no one else can really offer. It's not really, and it's not scoring I'm looking at.
It's the screen
I'm looking at how they're using him as they're running. He's the point big, not saying point guard big, but everything flows through him as a big in the point, and it's usually at that nail free throw line or top of the key, and that opens up a lot of options
for sure.
Right, so Bagley can come in and he can give us more energy up and down the floor.
Yep,
but he won't be able to open up offensively what Valanciunas can open up offensively and create. So I get that, and he's not a bad rebounder.
No, he ends possessions defensively, which is good.
Right, and so I don't think you can get more out of Valanciunas what you're getting.
No, I agree.
And yeah, in some aspects he does hurt us, but also in other aspects, sometimes he balances it out.
Yeah, this is exactly how I framed it. Is he's been kind of a net neutral because he's done a lot for their offense, but he does limit them defensively. And all his plus minuses so far, there's a lot of just like -3 or +3. Like some of these other guys will be +25 for the game, and he's just they're very static when he's on the court, and I think that's kind of that offset. So Buddha Belly asked in the chat, was signing Val a bad idea? No, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think he's not rehabbed his value, but he's not hurt his value in any way, shape, or form. People seeing him put up 22, 8, and 6 are going to look at that and think, oh, we can envision a fit here for him. I'm just suggesting that, like, for the young dudes who want to just get out and run, he's much better in a half-court setting is what I would say.
He is. He definitely is, which is not bad. And you got to say, you still got Bagley on the bench, still there. And we could really utilize him more than we can as far as really getting up and down. He just has to figure out what type of offensive player he's going to not be, but what type of offensive player he's going to offer the team, right? His teammates. He might have to sacrifice his body more, right? He's going to have to pretty much not just be a guy on the box that just closing down lanes. So, he might have to be a point guy. He's comfortable out there. He knows how to dribble the ball. He has way more game and freedom and feel offensively and spread out wise than he's showing.
Yeah, we saw it at Duke. I mean, the guy's got moves. He's not just like a junk yard energy big.
Yeah, look, to me, I'm like, let me show them I can be a facilitator at this point. At this nail. Right, the free throw line. Let me show them I can be a facilitator, set some screens, open things up. Now we have that along with still energy to get up and down the court. So now 5 guys are running fast. And I don't think Bagley and Saar would be bad together. Yeah,
I think what you just said about him fitting with them from a pace perspective makes a lot of sense to me. And then it's the other thing, I just don't think they've done Valanciunas any favors on that end because they've played him with Corey, who I don't think has been very good defensively. And I think Jordan Poole's been a lot better defensively this year, but you wouldn't look at him and say, like, he's like an above average NBA defender. So you're putting Valanciunas with guys that are, not going to stop anybody on the perimeter very often. And now he's kind of caught on an island, and he's a drop coverage big that doesn't really defend the rim. I just think that's making life a little tougher on him.
That's the thing about vets and young guys. With the Wizards, they're going to have to go with young guys only because, and the reason I'm saying that in the end of the day is because you can't create a culture with vets. Not saying that they're bad or anything, but vets are who they are. They understand what they need. They understand what they most vets need the team to more fit them than them fitting the team.
Sure.
Young guys,
they're more malleable, you know.
Yeah, they can moldable. You can mold them. You can mold them to fit, and a lot of times young guys will tell you how they want to play.
Yeah,
they can tell you how they fit in.
Right?
I mean, if you saw a beginning, you saw Bub. To me, he struggled a little bit. He struggled those first 2 games a little bit.
Yeah.
Right, and you like, So, and then they tried to play with the starting lineup with him. Right, but he struggled because he was trying to learn how to play, but he was also telling you how he wanted to play. Right. So, sometimes Bub would get ahead of himself with the dog fight before he's actually, before he actually put his boxing gloves on.
Especially in that Boston game.
Look, man, you got to put your boxing gloves on first. Get some rounds, some sparring rounds in the ring first. Right. But you can't just wake up all these giants. Right. They gonna but what I did notice that he had it in him, like he had that will and that fight in him. So like, okay,
he's clearly tough. I mean, they weren't kidding about
we understand the toughness. Now we got to give you poise. Yeah. Right. We got to give you poise. Slow down. Don't try to kill everything all at once. Yep. Take your time with it. Facilitate a little bit. Open it up. Now he's being the point guard. He's looking much better, and I don't think you could do that with a veteran point guard that's played over 6-7 years now. You're just gonna have to take what you get, but you can create Bub to be a better Bub and to be the Bub you need. Also ends up being a Bub he needs to be.
Just to that point about like a veteran guy. I keep putting Jordan Poole mentally in the veteran bucket just because he's been around, and like a viable NBA player for so long. But we're already seeing more from him than like I think there's another level for him to get to as a facilitator too. I think he's been much better about being patient, picking his spots, creating for guys this year. I think last year it was like, let me come out of the tunnel and prove everybody wrong. And I'm going to show everybody I'm this elite scorer. And it just didn't work and it snowballed. This year, it's like, okay, I can score, but I can also create. Like he just looks much more under control, but like it's still a limited sample size of him like as the point guard on an NBA team. So I think there's even room for him. To me, like that's where I cut him off on that vet line. The point you're making about like, a young guy, like you can still kind of mold him. I think you can still mold Poole to do more of these things. Like there's more there, I guess, is what I'm suggesting.
I think you're watching it. I thought it was frustrating because you saw a Poole that seemed like he'd been more defiant to getting to what they were trying to give him. It seemed like, right? The information they were trying to give him, he was fighting it. It was a process of back and forth with Poole that I wasn't sure. I was worried about. I was very concerned. And it really showed on the floor. Like I keep repeating, the first time I start seeing him kind of mold, listening a little bit and trying it out and translating it was at the end of last year. Yep. This year, but I feel like Poole was under so much pressure.
Yeah, you could tell.
I think he put too much pressure on himself. That I just came from Golden State. Here, I got to show them I'm the man. I got to be Steph Curry mixed with LeBron James instead of just. And so what it seemed like he was just you could tell he was playing with so much pressure, and he was just pressing everything. Everything he did seemed like he was pressed, right? Like and with a bit of force instead of saying, "Let me now here." I think he just let all the pressure go. Let me relax. I know what I can do. I'm confident in my abilities. I'm confident in what I know I can do, right? And I'm confident in the work I put in this year. And I like my teammates, right? So now I also want to get them involved. Yep. When you want to get your teammates involved, it creates a lot of different, a new realm. And I think he's doing both. The shots he's taking, he's confident in them. He's not thinking twice. He's not trying. He's not forcing shots. And he looks good, and
He still
I'm
takes a
proud. I'm
couple
proud
heat
to see
checks,
where he's getting.
but I like that. Yeah.
Say what?
He still takes a couple heat checks along the way,
Yeah, he
but
does. But
that's
hey,
who he is. Yeah.
but every good player does.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what's the difference between him? He's a good player. Every good player take heat checks.
Sure. Yeah, that's totally fair. To me, he looks more at peace, Jahadi. Like what you said about like the noise last year. Like I think the Draymond punch thing had like a full cascading effect of just like, oh, you guys got rid of me. Like I'm gonna make y'all look stupid. And this year he just is like, I'm comfortable. I'm gonna play my game. I'm more established in my place. Like my feet are under me, and that's huge. So I'll take it. I hope
That's
there's plenty
exactly
of
what it looks like.
Yeah, I hope there's more to come there. Just circling back to something about Bagley and there being more there offensively. To me, there's got to be there like more there defensively too. Like he's a big enough guy that he can play with real bigs, and he's a mobile enough guy that I think he could, be more versatile on that end. But he's been bad defensively like for most of this time, and I think that's why they're not putting him out there more. Honestly, is just he's not giving you enough offensively to offset where the defense is at. So how do you convince a guy like him, like this is also your ticket to getting more minutes, is you have to buy in on this end? And I don't know, am I crazy to think that he could be a good defender if he wanted to be?
No, you're not crazy. I think he could be too. Bagley's time on the floor has been so inconsistent to where when your time gets like that, everything is overly thought because now you're trying to squeeze a lot into a little amount in a short window of minutes, right? And so then your brain gets more like everything is super important and over exaggerated.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of where his defensive breakdowns are coming from.
That makes sense.
But you're a pro.
Yeah, you got to make it work, right?
You're a pro. Like, I think if Bagley knew he was comfortable, knew exactly how many minutes he would get in the game, and he knew like, okay, I'm getting at least 20 minutes, you'll see a better defender because now he can trust. Now he understands that he's trusted.
Yep.
No matter what, you trusted me with these 20, right? So if I do make one defensive breakdown, I can fix it. Now I'm in a rhythm. I just don't see him able to get in the rhythm.
Makes sense. Yeah, last year he was more engaged, I think, for that reason. He had more consistent minutes. So maybe that's the thing you see if they do move on from Valanciunas, like second half of the year, that's probably the next guy up to get minutes. So that'd be something I look for at least. Just catch up on the chat here a little bit before we get too far into this. Let's see. It Never Makes No Sense said, how much faith has this given you in Will Dawkins? For me, Jahadi, if everybody collectively said last year is one of the worst drafts ever, that he can draft 3 dudes that all look like they're at least pieces, that gives me a lot of confidence in him.
Well, it gives me a hell of a lot of confidence. Reason being, it's not just because he drafted 3 dudes. Not because he drafted 3 dudes that eventually could do something. Yeah. He drafted 3 dudes that he can put on the floor as starters.
Yeah, it's true.
Like,
and they have long-term upside too.
Yeah, like, come on, man. Like, hold up. Like, he drafted 3 dudes who can actually put in effective minutes and be effective on the court in the NBA. Like 2 all the way down to, I mean, what was the last 14, 2, 14? What was it?
Keyshawn George went 26, I think. 26.
Yeah. You got 26 on the floor by your 3rd, 4th game. Now that's unheard of normally. That you say, oh, we can put you out there and we can be comfortable with you. And he can be effective. Like, so he didn't just, like I said, it was a weird draft. You didn't know what you were really getting. Between 11 and 30, you might be getting the same player.
Yep, for sure.
Which it was actually good. But hey, I got to give them a just off of the talent we're seeing, and they really was doing their homework and seemed like they were looking for specific characteristics in players, and they seemed like they did a good job, and they hit the mark with that.
Yeah, they got their kind of guys, and that's fine by me. It's funny too. Like, apologies, I don't remember who tweeted this directly, but they had a screenshot of Bleacher Report giving the Wizards a D- for their draft immediately after the draft.
That's
so
bullshit.
Yeah, that's already aged very poorly.
When did they give that though?
Like the day after the draft. So
yeah, I would put that in the locker room.
Exactly. Print it up and put it in every one of their lockers. Agreed. Uncle Wee says this has been a fun season so far. Totally agree. Wizard of Oz said Jahadi with a lot of A's. Love that. Ace of Stripe. Hey everyone. Mr. Al, thanks for the pod. Enjoying this on the ride home. Well, be safe. Don't crash. All that stuff. Don't look too much at us. Also said Poole is looking wisecrack mature so far this season. Looking especially mature. Oh, okay. That was typo. Yeah, agreed. He's looking very mature. And that's why I keep putting him in the vet bucket. But he's still only 25. But he's been like Unk on the team. Like you see him putting arms around guys. Like there was one the other night where he was pointing Keyshawn George where to go. And you could see like very clear, like I wasn't yelling at dudes. It was like a teaching moment. And that's cool. I mean, we didn't really see that as much from him last year.
I think, like you said, he was fighting his ego last year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that bullshit we saw was like, oh, shit, this is about to be bad. Yeah. You know, this is my team, and all the weird things he was saying was because his ego was bruised.
Yep.
And so, like, now he's fighting for I think he was fighting for his manhood more last year.
Yeah.
And him trying to regain his respect for the incident that did happen. Like, now it's every human being or male that's in my face, I gotta now prove that I'm a man, and it poured over onto the court, and it just kind of poured out in a bad situation.
Yep.
I think he's over that now. He's starting to realize but no one cares. You're not the first, you're not the last that's gonna get in the fight.
Just hope.
You know, and you're not the first one. I mean, it's college, it's legendary coaches in the NBA who got their jaw broken, you know, and they survived. So he realized it's part of the process with sometimes. And now he's able just to be himself and play, man. And I think it also taught him kind of, you know, how to be human a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I think he needed to go. All the stuff that we were so upset about, or like, oh, this is diabolical, what are we watching? Ended up being exactly what he needed.
Yeah, sometimes that's big for it. It's a humbling moment, and it's also something he can pass down to these young guys. So it's hopefully a lesson they don't have to learn for themselves too. So it makes you an even.
And I feel like he's given a lot to those players, and I think they're feeling more freedom because of him. And when you're young on the floor like that, the best thing you can have is a sense of freedom.
Yeah. This is one thing I've always, like, a couple guys and I were texting before the year, and they're like, we got to get rid of all the vets. Like, you need one of these guys as a safety valve for the young dudes to take pressure off of them. And saw it in that Boston game. He was the offense in the first half. And when he went cold, you know, they kind of ground to a halt. So that, like, you need somebody there that backs them up. And it's not been Kyle Kuzma thus far. He was much better, you know, in the third Atlanta game until he got hurt. And, you know, you need him to slowly round into form there a little bit too. But it does sort of beg the question, like, do you need two high usage veteran guys at this point, given how far along both, you know, all four young guys are already this season, it seems like?
Sometimes you do, but sometimes you have good guys with character. Right? I think, most teams need a good high usage veteran guy.
Yeah.
Right? But these guys seem like they're quick to absorb a lot. Yeah, right? Sure. And they're quick to learn. They're quick to be out there, and they're quick to learn in real time. Which is, to me, is a good core group to learn in real time. You know, another thing we have is none of them are really like offensive killers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they're all
willing
good
passers. Yeah.
Yeah, they all really pass first. They are really good role guys.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, like which helps us a lot and what hurts us sometimes.
Yeah.
Because when Poole goes dead, you don't really have a guy say, "Oh, we know you put in your hand and you can give us something."
We've seen a little bit more flashes of that from Coulibaly these last 2 games.
You have, but you know why? Because he's awesome at playing off the ball.
Yeah, right.
Like, be real. Like most of Coulibaly's points come from him playing off the ball, not from him catching and having the ball in his hand and getting down here, right? He's always in the right spot.
There was that stretch to end the Atlanta game where they just gave him the ball at the top of the key 3 times in a row and cleared out. And that was great because I was like beginning to wonder, like, could he do that? But I'm totally with you. For the majority, it's, like he doesn't need like 12 dribbles to create a point, like, which is awesome.
He don't need the ball to create a point. He just has a great feel for the game.
Had some good cuts, a couple putback dunks.
Yeah, good cuts, good putbacks. Yeah. He's going to be the first one down the floor. He knows when to take off, right? So the person that I feel like who needs to balance this thing all out, who would be good, is Sar, right? Sar to me, right now, he's a good defender. Yeah. He's a 3-point shooter. Yeah, I'm not getting much, maybe some inside game every now and then. We're just getting 3-pointers from Sar. If Sar could get a downhill game, right? Get a downhill 15-footer game, a downhill game to add with that 3-point shot. Because what problem is this? Coulibaly is who he is. Poole is who he is. Great. Like, so we getting enough scoring from them, but we getting all the hustle points from Coulibaly, right? Yeah. So he can, when he's getting that prime, he can probably give you that 18 tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Maybe even a little more than that.
Yeah, more. But I'm just saying, I'm saying the worst case scenario.
Yeah, safe. Yeah,
right. Just off of what he does, he can give you 18. No more than 18 when he starts really getting it to his field. Right. Yep. Poole can give you 30, 28, 25, 30. Right. You just need another guy who can give you some create with the ball in his hands. Yep. Right now with Sar, it's just penetrating and pitching, and he right there catching. He's a big body. He's long. If we can get him downhill, pump fake, get downhill, and we need to get at least 25 from him a night. That's the guy we need.
I'm glad you said that because I was watching a little bit more of how JJ Redick is using Anthony Davis in LA, and that's really always been the guy for me that they should emulate. And I don't think he'll ever be Anthony Davis. That's not what I'm suggesting, but you're, Jaren Jackson or Evan Mobley or whatever, like, but Davis is the one to me where, like, okay, yeah, he can hold up with 4s and things like that, but the best Anthony Davis is when he's at the 5 because he can guard 5s, but 5s have a hard time guarding him. And that's where you create the mismatch. Like, there's a young dude.
Like, create a mismatch every game if he wanted to.
Faster than every big that'll be on him. And that's why I've loved him being the big out there. Like, he's just, to me, I think he's going to have to get stronger, keep tightening the handle up. But I'm with you. There are a couple ones where you see like a little moment of it. Like he had I started the fast break the other night and made a good pass. And you're like, oh, okay. Like maybe we're starting to unlock a few things here, more and more as the season goes on.
Yeah, I just want to see him being able to score off the perimeter more with putting the ball on the floor.
Yeah.
I think that's the next level for him.
Right.
And I'm looking at all the guys that can really do it. And that's going toward in the future. Yeah. The only one I could feel that's okay, well, that's the main guy that needs to be able to put that ball on the floor more and get downhill is Sar. You really, Kispert does what he does already. Coulibaly is more of just a all-around active guy. You're not going to really get him creating a lot.
Yep.
Not a lot because he's so useful in so many different situations. And so who's our next guy to put up 25 a night guaranteed? Who could that be?
I mean, I don't see that player on this roster, to be honest with
you. I don't now. That's what I'm saying. Like, we guaranteed have to get that player.
Yeah, that's the next piece, right? And it's
but can you make one of the existing players that player?
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible?
Yeah, I just don't see it with Sarr personally. Like, but I mean, again, he's 19. Like, I'm not trying to limit. Just from what I've seen so far, Bub to me is probably like a mid-teens kind of scorer.
It would have to be. It would have to me. It would have to be Sarr or surprisingly, it has to be George.
Yeah, to me, I think he's got another gear. I just see him do certain things where I'm like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, like, he's still feeling it out.
Yeah, I know everybody saw the highlights last year of things he did at Miami, and he was this, sweet shooting guy with a little bit of wiggle to him. But like, he was bad for a lot of that year, and that's what I kept telling people, especially defensively. But he's doing some things already where you're just like, okay, this dude might actually be different, and he might have a little bit more of that, like, let me take over mentality to him than I think, most of us even could have thought possible.
You could tell that he's patient, but he has a bag.
Yeah, right.
He has, every now and again, you see highlights of, this dude, hold up, that's a bag. That's not just, that was just a regular move, or, okay, I get NBA move, but did he just get through that? And like, okay, this dude he has a bag with him that I don't think he's comfortable releasing fully and just out there playing.
The skills to do it is one thing. The balls to do it is another thing. And and he has that, whereas some of the other freedom. Guys, right? Yeah. Turn him loose.
Yeah.
He's apparently been working with TJ Sorrentine on the coaching staff most directly, and TJ was like a fearless FU mentality player at Vermont, and that I think that's like the great fit, right? Like, some guys you get matched up with and you're like, oh, okay, like these two dudes, you could just kind of feel like, for whatever they're doing, like they're giving him the freedom to start showing some things, and slowly he hasn't made a lot of shots yet, but just some of the things he's willing to try, and like he's missing easy looks that he's going to make long term.
Yeah.
Once those start going down,
just overthink it right now. It's a big platform.
To me, he's a 15-point per game scorer by next season. Like, that's really what I see.
Yeah. And I think right now he really has to see the window he has.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little window right now. You got to realize, okay, this window is a very impactful window. Not mean I got to have to go out here and score 15 or 20, but I have to show who I am.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I have to show who I am within this window. Why what I'm saying in the window, why Kuzma is hurt.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Establish yourself now.
I had to establish who I am.
Yeah.
Defensive wise, what's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
What's the things that say, okay, we can grow some more with this? Yeah, I'm sure the team has saw it.
Sure.
But it's a difference between seeing it in practice and executing it in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
And on that floor right now, he has to understand how the NBA works.
Mm-hmm.
These little pops of opportunities just come out of nowhere in the most unique ways. And when that door cracked, I'm not saying that he could take it over, but you can get half of your body through there at least.
Right. Wedging up in there that they can't shut it on.
You got to wedge. It's time to wedge something. Go ahead, wedge your arm through there now, man. Because once you do, you can't. You will never. They won't. You won't go back on the other side of the door.
Yep.
They just now gonna grab your arm and try to pull you through the door.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good time for him right now.
Especially like, draft status matters to a certain extent. Like, teams give you less opportunities when you're
the lower you got drafted.
Yeah, exactly. And
they're obligated to play a guy who's top
the number
10.
2 pick will get a ton of opportunities. The number 26 pick,
they put money behind their investment. They got to. They have no choice.
And their reputation's on the line. If you blow the number 26 pick, like, it's whatever. If you blow the number 2 pick, like, they'll give you every chance to prove you can do it.
You can be a terrible 1, 2, 3 pick, and you will last longer in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
than a guy who's not, number 20 pick. That's not good.
Yeah,
it's just how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Sticking with Keyshawn for a minute. Been some tweets like Kyle Kuzma told Chase Hughes that he thinks Keyshawn George is a smart enough player to hold his own on a playoff team's rotation right now. I've seen it, which it's funny because The Athletic wrote an article on Bilal and said it was a bunch of scouts gave their anonymous opinion. And before the season, they were like, I don't think Bilal could be in a playoff team's rotation, which is funny for a guy who's looked really good. But Kuzma saying that about Keyshawn already, it says a lot about where he's at mentally, right? Like he's not going to be scared of the moment. He gets how to play. So I just think, to me, he's the guy with like the biggest, like, growth potential of the three of them so far.
He's a guy, to me, with the biggest question mark, but also the biggest, like 3 dots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? His 3 dots is because you could see quick, just with a basketball eye, just a fan eye.
Mm-hmm.
It's just moments.
Yeah, just a little something. Yeah.
You're like, oh, he got something. There's something there, right? Just it's not normal. It's not normal basketball. Something. It's he has a lot more than a normal NBA player has.
Yep.
And when you see it, you're like, whoa. And when he does it, it doesn't look like, it's sports that I'm trying to show you. Right. I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. He just does it off instinct.
Yep. That's
you're like, oh, that was natural.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're doing that off instinct, imagine what you do when you're comfortable and we coach you up a little bit.
Yeah.
And they also tweeted out the fact about they, meaning Monumental, and Chase specifically, I think, put this out about how Keyshawn grew from 6'5" to 6'8" over the past year and a half. And according to Keyshawn, he had his growth plates scanned this summer, which don't even know what that means, and they're still open. So he expects to get up to 6'10".
So growth plates, you know what growth plates are.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't know about scanning them and seeing how much bigger you could get, though.
Well, I mean,
I'm hoping I have still some room to grow, Jahadi. I'm trying to get over 6'2" if I could.
Right. An MRI or X-ray will show.
Okay.
It's like when you have growth plates, you still have room in your hand.
Okay.
Right. It's a bone between your wrist, like here and here. That still, if it has a lot of space.
Okay.
Well, that's the space you still got to grow.
Interesting.
Right. Okay. So now, if it's still open, like they say it's open, that means I'm still growing. Once it starts to close up, and then it closes up, you're done growing.
Got it. Okay. All of a sudden, he's 6'10". That also changes some things too. I mean, that's another dude. But even just that initial, I mean, you had to deal with this much more than I do. But the 1 year I grew from 5'5" to 6 feet tall, and it took me probably the full year to figure out how to run up and down the court again. This dude going from 6'5" or 6'4" or whatever to 6'8", he's going to grow back into this body. And that's what I was hoping for, because he did not look particularly fluid or athletic at Miami last year. And I think, he had some flow to him with the way he moved, but he wasn't getting down the court the way he already looks to be moving this year. So building the strength back up to account for the new frame and growth and all those things, that's another reason why I think the potential there is really big, because if all those things come together, he fills out, you got something there. He's intriguing at the very least. So I'm all in on that pick.
Yeah. Plus, you got to understand the system you came from in Miami. It's not a more of a freedom system. It's your role, and you got to execute your role and play that role as tough as and hard as you can play it. And
a lot of veteran guards on that team.
A lot of veteran. Don't go outside. We don't need you to do more than what we ask you to do here, and we need you to do that at 200%.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, like you say, his instinctual things he does it's more of a natural feeling, freedom type of thing.
Yep.
Right. Miami, a guy like him wouldn't have a lot of freedom to explore his game or show aspects of his game that he can really show now.
Yeah, especially in a down year where they were underachieving, they weren't turning the keys over to the freshmen. Mr. Al brings up a really good one. Keyshawn had this one step back on Trae Young in the mid-range where he could have taken the shot, but he passed it behind him to Coulibaly. And at first I was like, bro, what are you doing? And then he made the pass and Coulibaly made the shot. I was like, okay, sorry, I gotta take it back. Just you have a better feel for the game than I do. Just do what you need to do there. Yeah, it's good call so far. Let's circle back to Coulibaly. So through 4 games, he's averaging 18.8 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.5 steals. Is shooting 59% from the field and 42% from 3. Again, this is a 20-year-old. And against Atlanta in this most recent game, he had a career-high 27 points on 11 of 14 from the field, 9 rebounds, 3 of 5 from 3, and 3 steals. Jahadi, I got to ask you, is he the best player of all time in 2 years?
What you mean of all time?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm just the ceiling for Coulibaly is the roof, like, right? I mean,
oh no, it's the ceiling is the ceiling. Yeah, the ceiling to me with Coulibaly it is through the roof. But me personally, I see Coulibaly as another Scott, like a Scottie Pippen.
The one I said the other night, and there's
I don't ever see him
as the guy, right?
As a guy.
Yeah.
But I see him as the Robin. If I'm the guy, I want him to be my Robin.
All right. It'd be a great one to have.
Right, because the reason I'm saying he's not the guy, because the guy needs the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Coulibaly to me he understands the game within the game, mm-hmm. which means he plays without the ball in his hands all the time, right? He knows how, it's a difference between the field. A lot of guys, especially coming up to this day and age, mm-hmm. don't know how to play without the ball in their hands.
Sure, yeah.
So it's refreshing to see a guy who all he does is think without the ball in his hands and creates and executes and makes so many things happen without mm-hmm. being on the ball.
Yeah. There have been a couple of tweets of like, is he the next Kawhi Leonard? And the one he reminded me of, just from a fluidity of movement standpoint, it's more like early Indiana Paul George, right? Like this 6'8" guy who he just kind of like floats down the court. Now PG ended up like a much higher usage on ball guy, but just thinking like those first couple years, like, oh, this dude is like 6'8" and he glides across the court. Like there's just something about that movement where it's like, ooh, okay, like. I don't see the Kawhi comp because to me, Kawhi is like hold the ball, push you off your spot. You mm-hmm. can't push me off my spot. And like he eats up possessions in a way that to your point, I don't see Bilal ever being the guy to do that.
Bilal is everywhere. Bilal is everywhere, you know. Mm-hmm. So I don't see him as a Kawhi. I do see him as a Paul George type. I feel like he's more active than Paul George.
I just mean like how they move at that size, right? Like just, like the length and athleticism. Bayern Man 12 says Bilal is closer to Giannis than Paul George. I don't see the Giannis comp at all personally.
To me, he's the closest thing. He's to me, if I'm picking a guy, I'm picking Scottie Pippen.
French Scottie. I love that.
Reason being is Scottie did a lot off the ball.
Yeah.
And he did multiple things. He could shoot.
Very unselfish.
Rebound.
Yeah.
He could defend.
Right.
He was your best defender. Pretty good, like your second best rebounder, most likely. Protect the basket. Mm-hmm. He'll dunk on Patrick Ewing. Like, it's nothing that Coulibaly can't do.
Could run point guard.
And before the skills even come in.
Right.
I'm talking about all the things off that's not using your bag.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then he still can shoot the J. Can get downhill if need be. He's always in the right spot.
Yep.
He's a worker bee.
I totally agree. And before anyone takes this as Matt and Jahadi are saying that Bilal Coulibaly will be one of the 15 greatest players of all time, that's not what we're saying. It's from a tools and skills and style of play standpoint, like he can do a lot of those same things and impact the game, in so many different ways. And that's a huge advantage to have when you start a rebuild, of going back to that guy that you can mold into whatever the rest of the makeup of the team is. Like him being able to do that at that athleticism, and like he could be a 2 if you needed him to. He could run some point if you need him to. He could be, he could guard some 4s if you need him to. Like that just
shut down Trae Young.
Yeah, exactly. That was awesome.
Right.
So I jokingly titled this episode "How Long Until Bilal Coulibaly Surpasses Michael Jordan as the GOAT." Clearly a joke, because just some of the like comps I've seen so far are crazy, but the upside is awesome, and that's just so exciting to see that he's doing this already. And Trae Young said after the game, shout out to Bijan Todd. If anybody is on Twitter and they don't follow Bijan from Monumental Sports, you're totally dropping the ball there. But he went up to Trae Young and just said, like, what do you think about Coulibaly? And he was very nice and said he's a really good player already a really good defender, and went on for 30, 40 seconds about just like, yeah, like he's got some tools and some gifts, and that was pretty awesome. But Trae Young in that first game went 2 of 15 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3, and had 6 turnovers. And that was not just him missing open shots. Like it was a lot of Coulibaly made life tough on him. Now he got him back a little bit in game 2, but he also had to have like a ton of usage to do it, and he was pretty inefficient. So even when the guy scored points, he had to work hard as shit to score those points.
Oh, and believe you me, he was working hard before that game.
Yeah, right.
The days in between that game.
Yeah.
Like Trae Young was working hard.
Yeah.
Because believe you me, he watched everything.
Sure.
He went back through that film over and over again. Like
what worked, what didn't.
Imagine being Trae Young, not really at this point in his career getting shut down by anyone.
Yeah, it doesn't happen much. Not like that.
Don't you mean don't happen? It don't happen. It hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And anybody who has done it before, he already learned now how to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
This is new.
Yep.
Right. So I mean, I saw it. Bilal took away all his moves before they even happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right. On the catch, let me jam him up. That way now he can't just put me through a scramble.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like it's smart defense.
Yeah, there's a lot of that seemed like instinct too,
mm-hmm.
not just pure scouting report. Like he was just able to recover on things and get back, and you're just like, whoa, okay, He closes a lot of ground really quick.
Right. Mm-hmm. And he knew who he was guarding, and he took it personal. But one thing about him is, think about the amount of information he has gathered guarding the best in that 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
That. Because so now he's learning everybody's best moves,
mm-hmm.
and just the way the player he is already, and you see his growth, everything is absorbent. He's soaking everything up like a sponge and spitting it back out on the court. You could tell he's all about being cerebral and an IQ type player, and knowing, trying to gain knowledge,
mm-hmm.
and it's showing. When he's starting to translate it back on the floor.
Yep. Yeah, and just. Again, year 2, a guy that wasn't expected to even be ready until this year's draft. Like the learning curve is especially impressive. So, Josh Robbins in The Athletic wrote this article, and they talked about that's the vision the Wizards front office and coaching staff have for the 24-year-old wing forward Bilal Coulibaly. The brain trust views him as someone who will stymie opponents' best perimeter scorers and eventually will create offense for himself and teammates. That's always how he's envisioned him as a guy who could make plays, said Brian Keefe. There's a learning process to that. So, we're seeing the vision. Like they told us what we're going to do, and they're going out and doing it, and they're finding guys that check those boxes, and they're using them in ways that allow them to capitalize on those things that they saw in them, which I think is awesome to see.
Yeah.
They also exercised their 3rd-year team option on Coulibaly for the 25-26 season. They did not exercise the 4th-year options for Patrick Baldwin or Johnny Davis. So that is likely, the end of their time in Washington at the end of the season, if not before. So, best of luck to them, but glad to see them locking in Coulibaly early. And that's a no-brainer that they were going to do that, but just still good to see earlier rather than later. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Go back to some of the other young guys here. For a minute, the average age of the Poole, Bub, Keyshawn, Bilal, starting five was 20.6 years old.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy to think about. Like, that Poole is old, like, is the old guy on the court at 25. Jahadi, you ever play with like a really young group? Like, I mean, you had some young teams, but did you ever go out and like you look around, it's like me and four other rookies or something like that?
And in Charlotte, I was like, I felt like I was, rubbing Bengay or Geritol or something on this. The way the guys were so young in Charlotte.
Uh-huh.
We're just a young core group, and only guys that were, it was myself that was,
Steve Smith was on that team?
7th year. And then Steve Smith, who, obviously Smitty, been around, he's super vet.
Yeah.
But I felt I didn't fit in anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The young guys were too young.
Mm-hmm.
And Smitty was kind of, he was too older, much older, and just kind of, he was a chill vet now. So
sure.
I'm solo.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, you become a vet really fast in this game, depending on. And once you become that vet, they expect a lot from you, And so Poole just found himself in a situation where he's been forced to advance as a veteran very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So he has no choice in this situation to pass on a lot of knowledge and be able to now say, hey, I got to now put my arms around these guys. I have to now be able to tell, because that's what's expected. When you don't have a vet like that, it's tough, and it seemed like, and you also got to be that type of person. Some people just have the personality naturally and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think Poole has that personality naturally to pour into his teammates.
Yeah, it seems that way. And I'll be honest, I didn't know if that was going to be the case last year. Like, that was pretty clearly like a make or break moment for him, I think, mentally, of just like which way he was going to go and how he was going to respond. So I'm also just looking at this Bobcats team you're on. And all right, you had rookie Keith Bogans, rookie Matt Carroll, second year Melvin Ely, fourth year Eddie House, rookie Jason Capono. Or no, those were second year guys. Sorry. You had rookie Emeka Okafor and rookie Bernard Robinson, third year Kareem Rush, like fourth year Gerald Wallace. Like that was an interesting mix of dudes. I gotta imagine.
Interesting mix. It's just an interesting mix of guys who just kind of was thrown together, and it took a while for anybody to mix together with that team. It was just me. It was everybody was kind of a solo self. It wasn't one of those cliquey teams.
Sure.
Even
when the young guys are not like all one group is that's weird. All right, sticking with young guys here. According to the Wizards PR department, Bub Carrington is the 6th youngest player in NBA history to have a 15-point, 5-rebound, 5-assist game. The only other 5 were LeBron James, Tracy McGrady, Andrew Bynum, Josh Giddey, and Kevin Durant.
Wow.
Pretty good company to be in.
That's an amazing group to be in.
Yeah.
Now at the same time, you can create a stat out of anywhere.
100%. Yeah.
I'd
still rather be in that group than
But if you're gonna create a stat for me, and if I'm Bub, go ahead and create that one.
Yep. I love that. Speaking of Bijan Todd, I mentioned his post game earlier, but he also went up to Evan Mobley after the Cavs game and asked him about Alex Sarr and said that Mobley said that he definitely sees the player comparison between the two of them and said overall he's a good player, he has versatility, he's a good young player, and the sky's the limit. I mean, other NBA players, like, they'll give praise when it's, necessary, but like they don't hype guys up unnecessarily. So when you say something like the sky's the limit from one, number 2 pick to another number 2 pick, like that's pretty cool.
It is. I mean, this is not the old days where
right, everybody's a hater.
Where you like players will give another player props.
Yeah.
And be honest, like you see players nowadays in the post game interview, and and they'd tell how great that player was, and oh man, it was tough to stop him. He had this, and it's tough to when he goes right. It was tough to get take away that right hand, and when the way he pulls up, he gets so like they would just literally give up the secrets, right? That most guys wouldn't admit to. So when they're complimenting these players or compliment these Wizards players, you got to consider it as genuine.
Yeah, I think so. Just circling back to Jordan Poole, 30 minutes per game so far, which is also great that they're not like grinding him into the ground to do this, but he's averaging 22.5 points, 6 assists, 3 steals a game, which is first in the league. He's shooting 57% from 3, which is wow. He's not going to keep that up, but it's been incredible so far. And some of them are some tough shots. He hasn't missed a free throw, and he's averaging 5 made 3-pointers per game, which is number 2 in the league so far. You could very easily make the case he is the best 3-point shooting player in the league so far this season.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's the second player.
In comparison to last year, too?
Oh, my God. Yeah, right. If he'd have come in and done this, even after coming over from the Warriors, I still would have been impressed. But considering the last year, the year that he had in the middle, it's even more impressive. But only 2 players in NBA history have 20-plus made 3-pointers and 10-plus steals in their first 4 games of a season. So back to your point about made-up statistics. But it's just him and Steph Curry in that category. So the fact that it's my thing. Like, if you're not going to be like the best on-ball defender, at least be disruptive. Like, go out, poke the ball around. He seems to get his hands on a lot more stuff this year because that's an effort thing.
He is.
And
he's giving more effort in being in the lanes and being in the in direction in the lanes where the ball will go through. Still got to give him more man on man defense.
Yeah. There's plenty of room to still improve there too, but at least it's been a step in the right direction, I'd say.
Yeah. And what I noticed too, not to throw off the subject of the player we're talking about, but in the first 2 games compared to the last 2 games, especially in that preseason, who else has improved defensive wise, on ball defense really well is Sar.
I think his defense has been really good. And it's gotten better each game so far. Now maybe the matchups are easier, but
well, remember I kept telling him he wanted to get everything at the basket. Yeah. So he was like, okay, yeah, let me let you pass here, or let me not shut it down so early, so I don't have to let me be proactive instead of reactive. Right. And everything was so reactive. Sure. Now I'm starting to see him being more of a proactive defender.
Cut guys off before they can get to the basket and that kind of thing. Is that just getting comfortable? Is that coaching? Is it film study? Is it all of the above?
Learning the game, learning. When you first get in the NBA, everything is just a bevy of information. Just X and O's. You ever see those things with a lot of X and O's and when they're doing data? Yep. And it's data screen of just zeros and going across. I'm
picturing the matrix.
The matrix. That's your first. That's all it is a big database of data flowing through like your first 3, 4, 5 games. And you figuring it all out. You're absorbing all the data. How, when, somebody did a trick. Oh, let me take that. Oh, there's so much data flowing and processing throughout those games. Then you get home, right? And so it gets to a point you're like, all right, I get the data now. Let me be in the moment and let me play. Yep. And that's what I'm seeing with him. That's what I'm seeing with a lot of our young players on the Wizards. But it's cool to really watch it in real time. It's almost be like watching your kid grow. Every day you measure, he's getting a little inch taller, And so that's all that is. And I think that that sort of defense wasn't required where he was playing because they played differently. Right. And here it's a lot of one-on-one ball. Let me grab it, figure out how to take you off the dribble. Well, that's not how European or overseas ball is. It's looking for the cut man. It's a lot of movement. So it's easier to defend over there, actually. Now you have to move. Now you have to defend with a guy moving, putting you through all type of, a crossover, a hezzy, step back up, all these things. So it's different type of data and things you got to learn and process to be able to defend this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. And the league he was in last year in the NBL, he was more athletic than everybody he was matched up with. So he could afford to be more reactive and just, like someone might beat me and then I'll make up for it. I'll close the gap. And now when you don't have to close the gap because you can't afford to, like he still can. But you know what I mean? Like the guys are
I know exactly
a level
what you're saying. It makes complete sense. And that's exactly what it was.
Jahadi, when did you have I feel like I hear this a lot from players of I had this moment where things just started to slow down for me out on the court. How long did that take you into your career? Was it somewhere in the rookie year or where you just felt like, okay, now I'm kind of on the right field here playing wise?
End of my second year and really slowed down that third year.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's third season. Everything slowed down to the point that it slowed down to a point to where I was shooting some crazy shit and it went in. And it would just go in. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Did I just dream that? Because when things slow down that to that point, you can just kind of maneuver through it. It's almost out of body.
Yeah.
And to the point to where you're trying to experiment a little bit, not experimenting to the point to where you're gonna get on the bench.
Sure.
But you have the confidence now to experiment how to be more effective.
Mm-hmm.
And you almost surprise yourself sometimes because you have to grow to the point to where you're like, did I just do that?
Right.
But that's because the confidence start meeting the expectations, start meeting the growth and your talent and all at one time. And that's when all those things connect, that's when the game slows down.
I feel like this is a slightly different version of that question, but I remember asking Ton Thomas and Brendan Haywood both something along these lines of when did you really feel like you were set up to be the quarterback of the defense and you understood enough what was going on to really conduct a high level NBA defense? And they both said it was for them. It was their fourth season. And to me, it's Sarr's already kind of doing some of that stuff just strictly off tools and instinct. So by 2028, when he's out there, I think the ceiling for him on that end of the floor, especially is
he's doing it, but he's doing it with pressure. He's doing it because he's pressured to do it. You got to do this. You have to do this. You got to yell. You got to quarterback the defense.
Yep.
That's different. And then instead of leading it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Once the pressure goes away and you're confident in that job and now you're leading it.
Right. You just do it because you do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's cool. Kyle Kuzma, just want to talk about him for a few minutes here and then we'll wrap this thing. He was very not good early, Jahadi. It was kind of tough to watch, and he salvaged things mostly in the second half of that Atlanta game. It started to look a little better. He's going to miss the Wizards' next game here on Saturday against the Miami Heat in Mexico City at 9:30 p.m. for everybody Eastern time. But they said he is out basically indefinitely, and will be evaluated as they go with this groin strain. So they're not going to rush anybody back, especially any of these older guys that could potentially end up on a trade block. So, I don't know. To me, when guys get hurt and it's groin strains and things like that, he looked like he came in out of shape. That's what we thought in the preseason. And to me, that's when you start to see more of those kind of injuries early in the year. He played a huge workload that game he got hurt. That's what I'm wondering if this was just and I'm not saying it's because he was lazy or whatever. It could have been an injury or whatever, but the guy clearly wasn't 100% at the start of the season from a conditioning, physical readiness standpoint. And I'm wondering if that's why you're seeing like a pull like this, a week into the season.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at the same thing with Kyle Kuzma. And watching him, I'm saying, this is the year he's just trying to decide, okay, where he's going to be in the game, where he's going to be with his career.
Sure.
Right. You don't see him pushing his body to the limits that he would during last year or before. Right. He's not giving that extra effort, that extra oomph that, you see it more of a coasting, like, okay. And so you say, is that because of did he decide, hey, I reached my apex, now I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my career, and what I get is what I get, and that's the first time I ever heard somebody say, well, he don't seem like he's in shape. And now that did kind of like, that may be a big part of it, but he's also not given the same vigor and the same like fight that he would usually give to be able to get his points, and so it makes those unique shots and those crazy shots he normally will still shoot. When you don't put that same vigor behind them, it really looks bad.
Yeah.
It's not that he's not changing. It's not that he's changing his game.
Right.
It's that he's just taking his foot off the gas with the same things that he would do with his foot, with the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, when you said coasting, I was immediately like, yep, that's just what it's felt like. And when he did finally push it late in that Atlanta game, that's when you saw him get hurt. And that's kind of what I was thinking. That's like, well, and to your point about like he's deciding some things, I also kind of wondered if he decided like, look, they're going to trade me at some point this year. Like, how hard do I want to play or risk?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I look out there when I watch him and say, he got his mind made up with something.
Yeah. I'm out of here probably by December.
Yeah, he got his mind made up with something. I'm just going to enjoy getting up and down this floor, and I'm just going to hoop.
Play my way into shape, chill until
I'm hooping. I'm just hooping.
Yeah. I also kind of wonder.
I ain't balling, I'm hooping. I'm just,
right.
Well,
also for him, like 30 years old, I think he's 29, right? And he's won a ring at this point. He's been on good playoff teams. Is it just like, how hard am I going to play for a team that might be the worst team in the league again? Like, especially if they're going to trade me like that. That's just kind of,
I feel like, how much am I going to give?
Yeah.
That's not really going
to matter on the court. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you just said is exactly how
that's what I feel like I'm watching.
Yeah. Same. So either way, whether that is making the trade or just having a talk with him, it's got to be better when he comes back, because you can't have that out there at the expense of the young guys. Not the way they play.
It's tough when you're like, okay, why am I going to run through this brick wall?
Yeah.
And I truly need to save myself for wherever I'm going to go. This organization is done with me.
Yeah. I'm not going to go out and get hurt, for these guys. Yeah. Noah asked, doesn't he want to get on a good team? Yeah, but also most teams that have decided that are going to trade for Kyle Kuzma have already made their mind up that they're, like, nothing they're seeing from him right now, they couldn't just explain away the same way we just explained it and convince themselves that he'll try harder for them than he is here. So, and Nomadic Brian said, does he help with team growth? If he wants to be and he's bought in and he's locked in,
I think he could. I just think he's checked out.
Yeah. So got to figure that out one way or the other. Last one I got for you. The Capital City Go-Go had their G League draft the other night. They drafted DJ Rodman, son of Dennis Rodman, with the 43rd pick in the G League draft. And then I want to say at the 56th pick after they took Jaden Hardaway, son of Penny Hardaway. So I thought that was kind of cool just to see, the next generation of guys ending up on a Wizards team.
I think that's just cool to be able to have two guys on your G League team that's, fathers have really put a, legendary time in this league, and I think that helps the go-go.
Yeah.
Cool. just it's a talking point. It's a bit of excitement. It's a story.
Yeah. Get people to come out and see them play a little bit for the name. Very cool. All right, partner. I think that's all I got for you.
All right, my man.
We'll just keep everybody, going here. We'll see how they look the next couple games. Hopefully, just more of the same. I'm going to expect that Bilal Coulibaly sets a career high in every game he plays this year, and he might average 80 points a game by the end of the season. We'll just see how it goes.
I want Bilal Coulibaly to have fun.
Yeah, I love that.
When he has fun, he plays.
He does.
He looks like he's enjoying the hell out of himself right now.
That's a great point, man. He did look like he was just having a good old time in that Atlanta game. I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And we'll have fun watching it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, everybody hit that like button for us. We always appreciate that. Rate, review, subscribe. Also appreciate that as well. And if you want to just send us any notes or things you want to hear about and get Jahadi's perspective on, just shoot me a note and I'll make sure we figure it into the schedule here. And as we mentioned, the next game is against the Miami Heat on Saturday. So check us out at 9:30 p.m. They're in Mexico City. So that'll be interesting. It's always represented by betonline.ag, and we will check you all next time.